TorqueL is another one of those short indie puzzle platformers that'll last you about an hour before you put it away and forget about it. But I'll give it credit for being one of the more clever ones out there. The controls are very simple. You can only roll to the left and right, and the 4 face buttons extend the 4 edges of the box respectively. Your goal is to reach the end of the level as quickly as possible without touching any red spaces. Everything about this game comes off as really simplistic, but the frustration defines this game more so than the graphics. This is due to the wonky physics that are capable of throwing the player all over the place. For me, each level was failure after failure, and the relief was short-lived because the next level would be even more difficult than the last. I mean, yeah, that sounds typical, but it's different from, say, Super Meat Boy for example, where the controls are so precise and easy to use that you feel accomplished for every level that you complete and understanding for every failure that you fall into. With TorqueL, half the time, it feels like luck got me through a level. With practice, I eventually learned about how I can use the edges of the box like arms to pull me across ledges and hang onto platforms. Going through the game a second time, it was a breeze to pass through some of the early levels, but I had to give up once those spinning platforms came back. The music is awesome, but it's also tied to your movements, which sounds like a cool idea, but I don't think it translated very well here, and it just ends up sounding awkward and dumb. At the very least, hearing the actual song in the credits was a great reward. This is an extremely short review, but it's also an extremely short game. My first playthrough was completed in about an hour and a half. There are clearly multiple paths to go through, which are sure to help the game's replay value, but I didn't enjoy the game enough to bother seeking them out. If the game changed itself up a little bit, like let's say in some levels if the controls are altered so that you slide instead of roll, or maybe if the gravity for a whole level was altered a bit as opposed to these specific gravity wells. If the game did something to change up the rules every other level, then that would be interesting. As it is though, it's extremely bare bones, and it's just an awkward game that's more frustrating than it is fun. If this were a couple of bucks, then I could give this a pass as a neat little experimental game. But $10 is way too steep for me to justify this. Thank you for watching my review of TorqueL. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe.